Hi, everybody. Hey, it's Donna Reed here from Up With People, Cast 1976A. And I am in the Cactus Lounge, which at this point, I think you all know is mostly my office or my living room at my house. And that name was arrived at by some really brilliant people prior to starting this. And today my guest is Palma. And Palma, tell us your last name, where you live, when you travel, just some of that basic everybody wants to know information.
Thanks, Donna. Palma Carpino. I traveled in 1979 with Cast A.
Okay.
I interviewed a year prior to that from Guelph, Ontario. But now I've spent the last 41 years in Calgary, Alberta.
Okay. All right, so 79A, I was doing costumes at that point. Who was your cast director in 79?
Oh gosh, we had Jose Luis.
Jose Luis Gonzalez Segura.
Yes.
I thought, yeah.
And some of our other staff members at that time, Tony Flores, Sherry Abraham.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I figured you were just soon enough after me that a lot of the people I knew would have been your staff. That's why I was asking.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking Jose Luis was 79A. So anyway, all right. So I'm just going to tell you this, and this is going to sound like some random weird stereotype thing. So having someone named Palma Carpino from Canada strikes me as a really unusual name for a Canadian. I don't know why, and it's an unusual name. You're not John or Dick or David or whatever. Tell me about your name.
Oh gosh, it may be odd for a Canadian, but very common for Italian.
Well, right, but
and in fact, I've got lots of relatives with the same first name, and so it is both the first name and the last name are common in Italy. Not like Smiths or Browns or anything like that, but not as unique there. In Canada, yes, and but I got to say that having a unique name usually works. There's more pros than cons.
I agree.
It's been I got to tell you, it's been it's been bastardized in more ways than I should remember. But it's just one of those things where, and you know what? A lot of times when I'm introducing myself, I'll usually say Palma Carpino, not trying to sound too James Bondish, but
Palma Carpino.
but just so people understand that it's when I say Palma, that they don't say Mr. Mo, thinking that that's a last name and my first name is Paul. So I'll usually go Palma Carpino, and
that's interesting.
Yeah, they still don't get it, but that's okay. I've had variations from Playmo to Pilmo to Palomino to Pedro, but I gotta tell you, my absolute, for the longest time, my favorite version was, gosh, I had a pastor friend who would just, randomly say, Pilmo Carpono, and he did that on purpose. Just
on Pilmo Carpono. So,
but one time I called a friend on the phone. She was in a brand new job. Obviously, an assistant picked up the phone, and I said, "I'm looking for, I'm looking for Beth. Can you, and just tell her?" She says, "Who's calling?" I said, "Palma Carpino." And I get on the phone, and Bev says, "Oh, it's you." And I said, "Yes, I told the person my name." She says, "They told me some carnal torpedo was on the phone." Seriously, carnal torpedo. So if I ever get into like adult videos, I mean, I've got to
carnal torpedo.
I don't know where it came from, but I mean, that's got to be the classic. But like I said, in most instances, yes, having a unique name does come in handy for remembering. Hopefully you get remembered for the right reasons.
So have you had a chance to watch the interview I did with Berger just recently. I did it while I was in Europe.
I did not. No.
So we
Who's that
went
one?
through all of the names that he gets called. And, you know, his is a combination of English just not being able to even say the word, and then how it would get pronounced in Denmark and how it gets pronounced here. Oh my God, I was cracking up. He goes, you know, you reach a point where you just kind of respond to anything and you spell it the way they want to spell it. So you're kind of saying, you know, the same thing. It's funny.
Yes,
So.
but when I traveled, no, they had we didn't have anyone from Italy, but they also didn't ask me to represent the countries.
Got
either,
it.
so.
Got it. Yeah.
So no, I was one of I think there was like 8 or 9 Canadians in.
Well, we had done, I know that even in 76, so in 76, you know, because of the bicentennial, we didn't do a ton in Europe. There was a very small group, but we had a reasonably good size that went to Canada. So I know that we were in Canada a few times there in a row. And whenever that happens, that's when you get people, right, from those areas and stuff. So did you ever travel as staff, or did you just travel the 1 year?
No, I just traveled the 1 year.
Okay.
I believe I did. I think I did put in a request, or a saying I had an interest in coming back.
Yeah.
But again, you know, just sort of threw it out there and see what happened. I did do, and I thought I would maybe go in on more on the public relations side, because I did do PR 4 times during the year.
Wow.
So maybe a little bit more than others. That being said, we've also had cast members that had gone out 6 times or more and such. So
so
but again, it's you throw it out there and you see what's made available to you. So
yeah. All right. So when I first started doing these, that's when you and I connected on Facebook, and part of the connection was, as I was saying that I wanted to do these and I wanted to talk to people that I considered everyday heroes, or just to highlight that we as alumni do many, many things in our world, and they may be local, they may be family, they may be regional, they might be big news and be on magazine covers, but people are doing cool things. And the connection that you and I had was that you had just donated a certain amount of blood, right? You had reached, was it 1,000? Like
yes, thank you. I was recognized at our last reunion back, well, I guess it would have been our 40-year reunion,
right?
And we had, gosh, I'm trying to think. I was put forward through our cast alumni, our cast representatives,
right,
Bill and Adelaide Samik and such.
Yeah.
And it was recognized for at that time it was for 1,000 donations.
Right.
It's for mostly plasma donations,
okay.
And that is, and I think now I'm just under 1,160 donations.
Wow. So are you on a list, Palma, where like that like for blood it's like what, every 8 weeks or something, but for plasma, is there a longer period of time that you have to go between donations?
No, actually it's less. It's the body with whole blood, of course they take the 500 mils, and then of course you're down a quart and the body needs that time to rebuild that.
Yeah.
With the plasma, it's it's the one needle, but basically 2 tubes. I mean, they will withdraw the blood. They'll send it through a centrifuge, and then I get my red blood cells back. So they're keeping the plasma, and so in that instance, the body only needs 6 days. So I basically go once a week, and have been doing that for probably like 33 years. And
that's a 2 or 3 hour process, right? That plasma part takes a long time.
Not that long. I mean, it's probably 2 hours from start to finish, from the time I get into the clinic to the time I finish my last juice and cookie and walk out the door. But
so they know you well, and they know what kind of juice you like and what kind of cookies
they do. They do, yes. And I want to be clear here too, Donna, that when I share that number with people, yeah, I don't want to do it to bring attention to myself.
No,
I
I know.
I do it to illustrate how easy it is. Because
Mm,
I mean, who finds something that's really, really hard to do and does it 1,000 times? Nobody does. But if it's
right.
something that's easy to do, why I figure that there's so many things that I can't do. I figure, when I find something that I can, I'm going to
Yep.
run with it. And that's
Yeah.
it's easy to do. I just put it, it's always been just part of my my schedule, whether I was donating first thing in the morning for several years, or now it's mid-afternoon, midweek. It's just part of the routine. And
Wow.
when it makes it and when it's easy, again, it's easy to to continue with that.
Yeah.
And it always from the first time I donated whole blood to when I started donating plasma, both times it was just a simple invitation by someone else who was already doing it. It
That's
wasn't a big
very, yeah.
it wasn't a big national campaign. It wasn't posters or TV commercials or anything like that. It was somebody saying, "Hey, you want to see what I do?" And that's how it started. In
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
instances, it was a simple invitation. And I got to tell you, I mean, that stays with me all the time. And when, when I'm looking at, similar situations in life, and, how are we going to do?
I'm turning a little just because the light's weird here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, not at all. It's, again, it was just that simple invite.
Yeah.
And that's what,
That's
what
the
started it.
epitome of you. If you don't ask, you don't know. Right.
Exactly.
So that's pretty common from a sales perspective. Well, nobody's going to buy if you don't ask them. Right. And nobody's, if they don't know, they don't know. I've had this conversation with my brothers because two of my three brothers were unable to give after serving and living in Europe during, what was it? Mad cow,
Mad cow.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. And now my oldest brother, so he's 66 this year. He is just now allowed to give. And both my father died from an anti-clotting, a form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and my mother had ovarian cancer. Both of them received blood. So I've had brothers who always wanted to give and weren't allowed to, and it's one thing that I have been able to do, albeit I have to tell you, I'm not near as devoted as you are to it. And having just got back from Europe, that one of the first emails I got was from Red Cross about needing my blood. So that's the piece of me that was interested in, in talking to you and hearing. And I think about, again, are you building an orphanage in Africa? No, but you're saving lives every day, right? And it is easy. There's a whole lot of things. Now, not everybody likes needles. Not everybody's good at it. Not every single person can do it, right? But
Yeah.
to find something, it's not like you're being asked to climb Mount Everest every day, so that's very, very cool. Well, all right. What did you do for a living, and are you retired, or what's your story right now related to work?
I am not retired.
Okay.
I guess technically on paper I could have retired a while ago,
Yeah.
but when you get the travel bug, both my wife and I enjoy. We want to be able to do actual vacations every year instead of just the milestone anniversaries and things like that.
Right.
So for us to be able to continue that, I'll probably work a few more years. I've been, I guess, cursed and blessed with having a job that I really enjoy, and and where I get to, and quite honestly, even through the past couple of years, my schedule has not changed in the past 12 years, where I get to leave the house every day, or I get kicked out every day. Tomato.
Yeah.
And go into the office, because in my particular department, I work for Cardell Homes here in Calgary. Their head office is here, and I work in their corporate marketing department.
Okay.
So when the initial order said everyone work from home and stay isolated and all the rest, I ended up becoming, I said, well, can I stick around if everyone else is working from home? And they said, I don't see why not. And so,
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
because I was isolated by default. No one else was coming into the office. There were a couple of other people that were in the building, and I would, that I would see and talk to from a distance and such, and jump through all the hoops that we had to at that particular time. But to this day, our department, the corporate marketing department, is still, they're all working remotely. Our head office is here in Calgary, but we also build in Ontario and Colorado and in Florida. So I mean, as far as those other 3 regions go, we've always been remote.
Yeah, yeah. That's fascinating. I'll have to look up Cardell Homes. I don't know them. And but 2 of my kids live in the Denver area, and clearly I know a few Up With People alumni agents there. So I'll have to look up and see, what, not to mention that half of the, a group that moved to Denver still live in Denver. So there's a whole lot of alumni in Denver. So I'm sure that they're familiar with that. So I want to go back to Up With People and the time that you traveled. So one of the questions that has been fun to kind of ask everybody is, do you have a food experience that you loved, you hated, that ever since you had it the first time, you will forever eat it, or something that you were like, oh my God, I can't believe I had to do this and I'll never do it again? Any kind of food story?
I'll tell you this. When I traveled, I would have been 19. Oh gosh, yeah, I would have been like 19, I guess. Or
you were young. Okay, go ahead.
And it wasn't until I was actually on tour that I had Chinese food for the very first time.
Okay.
Because growing up Italian, I mean, you would be insulting your mom if you.
Could you please make Chinese food for dinner?
If you order, even ordering out was something that we only did, a few times a year. Yeah. And even then, I think it would have been like either pizza or Kentucky Fried Chicken. Something.
Yeah, it's a very different world now related to the eating out. We had that conversation. Right. I had that conversation with somebody yesterday about how. No, we ate at home or maybe went out for pizza or ice cream or something now and then, but nothing like today's world. Yeah, it's a very, very different place. All right, so you had Chinese food for the first time. What about your tour? Did you visit a country that you love, or is there said you and your wife like to travel that you want to go back to?
Well,
don't say Italy.
There's a lot of questions in there, but
I know you're right.
Let me say this. First of all, our tour, we started in Tucson, and we did the West Coast of the US, so California, Oregon, and Washington. Then we went up into Canada. So that was my first time being on that part of our country. Yeah. And we did mostly BC, and we did one trip into Alberta, which I now live, an hour and a half away. We did the Oilmen's Convention at the Banff Springs Hotel.
Wow.
Which was amazing. And I just knew, I said, boy, if I had the chance to come back here, I probably would. Not knowing that this is where I was going to end up. So, and then our second, and then we came back down the West Coast, and then during the Christmas break or the winter break, we had, when everyone else was going home, I went with another castmate of mine, Pat Hadley, who is now living in Alaska, but was from Sarasota. And so I stayed with him over the Christmas holidays, and was, the only guy, on Christmas Day who was in the water without a wetsuit. But I also did that because one of the PR cities that I did was Dunedin in Florida. So I stayed there, and we continued. We started back in Florida. Then we did the Latin America tour. So our cast went to Venezuela, Panama, and Costa Rica.
Okay.
And
okay.
To answer one of your other questions, I gotta say Venezuela was probably one of the highlights, just because I just couldn't get over the both the landscape and the people there. Like my heart right now, my heart just breaks
I was just gonna say that.
for
Yeah.
what's happening, because it was very, very different when
Yeah,
we
when you were there. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you happen to know Armando Amarista from Caracas?
Love him this much. Wait a second. Here's the screen. Okay, now take that and go even further.
Yo también. Yes. Yeah. And boy,
Yeah.
I have just watched his life and his love for his country and all that has happened in his world and in the arts and everything that he did. He, and then Jose Rios is also from Venezuela, and he traveled. I think he did PR already our year, 76. I can't remember.
I don't know.
But boy, that man has a heart of gold, and I cry for his country and for, yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah. Interesting. So, All right. So if you and your wife are big travelers, did you go somewhere this year?
No, we haven't done any. Just before the pandemic happened and officially was kicked off, we came off of a cruise ship. We've done not a lot, but we've gone like 8 times, and we've
that's a lot.
Not if you talk to one of my castmates.
I understand that. Yeah,
Holikoff,
there are people who they're addicted
Lane
to that.
has gone like, I don't know, 60 or 70 times or something. But
holy cow.
But yeah, so we just finished a cruise and came back, and so nothing was has been done since then. But back a few years ago, 3 years ago, we went to we did a Mediterranean cruise. So we went to Europe, and it was for our 30th anniversary, because apparently after 30 years of marriage, you can't get away with a homemade coupon book for free foot rubs or hugs or anything.
We're over that. Yeah.
Unless every coupon ends with the words "in Paris."
In Paris.
So
that's a riot. That's a great idea. You might have just given an idea to someone for their anniversary, Palma.
So we actually did fly into Paris because it was cheaper. But we were in Paris for a few days. Went down to took the train down to Barcelona, and then our cruise did southern France, the west coast of Italy, up the Adriatic to Venice, Croatia, Montenegro.
Oh, you had a good cruise. Yeah. It's people either really like cruises or not at all. There's the people that want to be out kind of walking, hiking, biking, and because that I just got back and we talked a little bit about that, and because I got sick and I had to change it, the cruise piece out of a month was going to be the piece that was all planned and organized. Prepaid, they tell me where to go, like up with people. Just be your little lemming and go get on the bus and do what they say.
I love that.
Right. And then it changed. And then I had to be in charge. And then I had to think, and then I didn't feel that great. So it's funny coming home after having been gone a month and going, okay, at this age, having a plan, having somebody just take care of me, sometimes that's okay. That's what I would want it to be.
And on that same note, I think that's why, again, it was certainly one of the highlights of my life. But again, I was young, and it was the first time I got on a plane, first time I was out of the country.
Yeah, me too.
And it was all brand new to me. So I had absolutely no problem in being told what to do, when to do it,
right?
Because it was all brand new, and it was it was an adventure. Like every single day was an adventure. There was some I would say that there's some people that because that age range, 18 to
24 or whatever it was,
particular time, so those who had been out on their own for several years and are then and now coming back into that situation where they're again being told what to do and when to do it and such. I'm sure, I know, it was a very different experience for them.
Yeah.
because from where they're coming from. But
I think also that part of it, and this is hindsight, this is not what the 18-year-old, because I was 18 when I traveled, would have said, but I always followed the rules. I always just did what I was supposed to do anyway. So I was not that child in high school that was arguing about things or saying, no, I don't want to. I might have at some level, but mostly I just did what I was supposed to. That adult's a little different, sometimes I speak my own mind and, but I feel like there's a balance between the planning, the being told and all of that. Before I forget, I want to make sure, because we're getting close to the end, music. Tell me, we just went into the less than 10-minute mode. Tell me what song or songs, one or two, have impacted you through the years or that pop back into your mind. And I should tell you, you can't say Moonrider. You can't say Rhodes. No, you can say whatever you want, but it was kind of like everybody wants to go to Italy. Tell me another song.
Then I would have to choose probably Till Everyone Is Home.
That's a great song.
And yeah, it's very powerful and
still meaningful.
Yeah, of course. And just that whole, we're in it, we're all in it together kind of kind of thing that that pops up all the time in in life, and just being of a reminder of being of service to others. And it's, again, not like we started off by saying, not the really big things, just the small
and that leads me into my final question. So we don't know what the future of Up With People is. We know they've just hired a new woman to be in charge, which I'm super excited about, to see where we go. We don't know what it's going to look like, but what would 19-year-old and however old Palma is now, what would that person say to someone that's considering a gap year and has so many more options than what we did? There's so many options. What would you tell someone if they say, hey, what's this Up With People thing? And, again, not knowing exactly what it is, what might you tell them or advise them?
Well, it certainly has changed somewhat from when I traveled. Again, but I would certainly make it, if people weren't already aware of it, I would, I'd certainly, let them know and and all I can do is share my particular experience from it and what it meant, what it meant to me, and how, how people from all different perceptions are coming in and viewing this. And I think is so common, even nowadays. Everyone you could have 20 people in the same spot doing the exact same thing, but they're coming at it from different backgrounds and such, or different experiences.
That happens just with me and my brothers. We don't look at each other.
That's exactly it. I would just, let them, tell anybody and everybody to just be open to opportunities.
I agree.
And regardless of the interest, some people will certainly tend to go towards something that they have a big passion for and really interested, while others are going to do, I'm going to try something that I've never done before. I've never tried.
They might discover a passion, right? They might find something that they didn't even know was an option.
Yeah, exactly. It was, just being open to opportunities, I think really sums it up. And of course, doing your due diligence when you're going to try something new. You don't just go into it blindly. You want to, research it and and talk to other people and such. So regardless whether you're going off on tour and traveling the world, or you're just picking up, you're going into a new career, in your own city. Open to the opportunities. You never know where they're going to take you, who you're going to meet, and
and Up With People affords us that. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to tell you, based on the conversation that I have seen online, that there's clearly some travel experience that you all have, and I'm going to try to get a hold of Lane and find that out, because I'm writing an article for Upbeat, which is why I was inquiring about everybody's travel experiences, and we don't have time to get into that right now. But I feel like this is like Paul Harvey, and I need to get the rest of the story. So I'm going to try to reach reach out and see what I can get on the details on that. But thank you for taking the time. I'm glad we got this together.
Me too.
I've been going back and forth between, you know, young and old, what continent do we live on? What time zone are we in? And just making it all work and trying to get a variety. And I appreciate it. And thank you for your service in the form of plasma and blood donations, and for the lives that you've saved, and for putting it out there to remind people that it is easy. It doesn't have to be a hard thing, because anybody can do it. Yeah.
Find what you can do, and then just
And then
it like
just do
crazy.
it. Yep. So, all right, I'm going to stop the recording here, and
Thanks, Donna.
yeah, we'll talk to you later. Thank you, Palma.